So you just gotta look at my Brazil-inspired Zonhe region, its starter Pokemon and hypothetical games, Pokemon Push and Pokemon Pool. Although I've already introduced a handful of other Zonhe Pokemon in various other projects of mine leading up to this reveal, such as a handful of my new Skystone evolutions, as well as the Quattail and Gauchero line, based on Coatis and Gauchos being Brazilian cowboys using their lasso-like tails to wrangle in their foes, with a new signature move, Lasso Tail, to trap that foe in battle. I've also shown a couple regional variants and even convergent Pokemon for the region as well, including some from my previous Fakemon regions, like the Golden Lion Tamarin-inspired Sunky, which resembles the Moonky line from my Luika region. Arzonini and Finizin, inspired by the Amazon River dolphin, and the myth of Bodo Encantado, which is the story of a dolphin who turns into a man to deceive people. That's obviously the layman's and friendly version of this tale, with a new regional evolution, Gentlefin, whose new ability, Amateur to Bachelor, transforms it into its beefy bachelor form only when its foe's infatuated with it, and luckily it learns plenty of moves that cause infatuation, including its new signature move, River Dance. Gentlefin is also the co-star and ace Pokemon of the dashing movie star and water-type gym leader, Marino, who is the older brother of the water-type gym leader, Maria, of the Firen region. Struggling, Maria left her family and life in the Zonhe region behind to seek a quiet, isolated life in the Firen region. Well, in this project, you'll find out exactly why that is, as Maria's past and family dynamics will be a big part of the Zonhe Chronicles, as she will return to finally confront her family. And while I do want to go back and follow up on the starter Pokemon a little bit, there are a few newcomers to the Zonhe region I just could not wait to introduce to all of you, such as Armadosi, inspired by armadillos and the famous Brigadeiro chocolate in Brazil, with a hard chocolate shell covered in sprinkles, which it leaves behind as it rolls around. I've seen a lot of Fakemon creators do the whole soccer ball or Pokeball approach for the Brazil Fakemon regions, so I really wanted to deviate away from that and do something unique, and I've never seen this approach before, and since food is such a big part of Brazilian culture, I thought this would be the perfect way to do that while still honoring the culture. This sweet little Pokemon is the first stage of a 3-stage evolutionary line, which is actually one of my absolute favorite lines and concepts of the Zonhe region. So I can't wait for you to see its evolutions. There is also the dazzling Vidrolita, inspired by Brazil's beautiful Morpho butterfly and stained glass windows, as Catholicism is huge in Brazil, but obviously religion is kind of always loosely and subtly referenced in Pokemon, so I wanted to take that same approach with my designs, to reference that, but as subtly as possible. And despite being an ice type, in a more tropical region, the Vidrolita line is the regional bug of the region and can be found in the early game, fluttering around the Zonhe region, the sunlight glistening through its beautiful stained glass wings. Another newcomer I'd like to show you is Cucavile, inspired by Brazil's Cayman, and Alligator Witch Cuca, with a ghoulish twist as it uses its large jaw like a witch's cauldron, throwing ingredients into it to cast spells and curses on those that cross it. This line is found in the region's lakes and rivers, including the large Zonhe River, coursing through the Zonhe rainforest, of course inspired by the Amazon rainforest and river. But it is most commonly found in the wetlands and marshes of the region's Pantanal area, along with plenty of other poison types. And there are plenty more colorful new Pokemon beaming with personality I cannot wait to reveal in the Zonhe region. But before we go any further, I'd like to take a closer look at the starter Pokemon. Naturally indolent and aloof, Idleaf mosey around the treetops of the lush rainforest to avoid having to interact with anyone that may wander by below. Idleaf's mossy fur absorbs moisture to help it and any plant life it comes into contact with thrive regardless of their habitat. Idleaf is inspired by sloths, with the foliage on its head, especially the leaves, around its eyes, resembling a carnival mask. Mbeak's fiery feathers burn bright with their vibrant colors and intensity fluctuating with its mood. Its flames are typically harmless due to its inherently jocose temperament, but they are also known to be quite feisty, with their feathers set ablaze in a blistering blue when provoked. Mbeak is inspired by the scarlet macaw, with the plumage around its beak resembling a jester's hat. Notably boisterous and bubbly, Scubara are excellent swimmers, spending most of their time submerged in water. Innately in tune with waves of sound, they have a remarkable repertoire of noises which they use to communicate with one another even while underwater. This Dex entry is a reference to the fact that capybaras are not only semi-aquatic, but very vocal creatures using various sounds such as whistles, barks, chirps, and purrs to communicate, so I really wanted to lean into that. Scubara is based on capybaras. It has scuba diver flipper-like fins to reference the capybara's webbed feet, with its large nostrils resembling a scuba mask. So as you can see, all 3 starters incorporate some sort of faceware into their design. My biggest goal for this set of starters was for them all to be colorful and have as much personality as possible to fit the themes and aesthetics of the Zonhe region, which is why there's definitely some subtle carnival inspiration within all of them. I had so much fun working with my talented friend, PKMN, on the designs for these 3 starters. It was a blast. We just worked so well together. We're literally always reading each other's minds and finishing each other's sentences. It's insane. I couldn't have picked a better partner for this trio, and I'm so excited for y'all to see the rest of their evolutions. So to quickly answer some of the questions I'm sure a lot of you are dying to ask about the Zonhe region's inspirations, such as its name. The name of the region is derived from the Portuguese word for dream, as I'm sure those of you who are actually Brazilian and speak Portuguese already know, but it's with a Z, as in, you know, catching Z's while sleeping or dreaming, and it's also a play on Amazonia, as in Brazil's iconic Amazon rainforest, as it was the wildlife within the rainforest and that setting that really drew me to the region in the first place. And you're probably wondering why push and pull. So the themes of these games and this region are dreams and imagination. Each title will explore the things that either push us towards our dreams, like hope and love, or the things that pull us away from our dreams, like our fears and doubts. And given these themes of creativity, I figured it was only fitting if I thought outside the box for these games titles, rather than doing something generic or overdone. These dreamy themes are also why pop art and music will play such a big role in the vibrant Zonhe region's aesthetics, as I wanted to reference Brazilian pop art, as it really inspired me, and Brazil is a melting pot for phenomenal art and artists of all mediums, and many of these artists can be found in this very community, so I wanted to honor all of that not only in the themes and designs of this project, but its presentation, to offer a one-of-a-kind Fakemon experience, as the Zonhe region will be presented as a living comic strip. Now, you've seen a little bit of what that will look like in this trailer and video, but believe me when I say you've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Things are going to get crazy. I just cannot wait. I'm sure all of you don't need me to tell you this, but there are already so many amazing Brazilian Fakemon projects out there, like so many, so I really felt I had my work cut out for me, especially as I am not Brazilian, as most of these creators are, but that really only inspired me to work that much harder on the project. So I was determined to be as creative as possible and put my own unique twist on things for this region, so it stood out amongst all the amazing projects that came before it. So I really hope that shows and you all enjoy this project just as much as I've enjoyed making it. In addition to this trailer, I'd like to tease a little bit of what's to come, as I literally cannot wait to take you on this exciting journey through my imagination, as I am absolutely confident that the Zonhe region will be my best project yet, as I will not only be introducing 120 new Pokemon for the region, comprised of some of my most colorful and creative designs yet, as I've really been pushing myself this time around, but a vibrant new cast of characters who I think all of you are just gonna fall in love with, as this tropical region is made up of various diverse biomes filled with plenty of culture and pop culture references. I really had a lot of fun diving into Brazilian culture, and this region will have plenty of it, referencing once again not only a lot of pop culture and art, but the country's rich history, as well as plenty of folklore, and yes, my Brazilian followers are probably wondering, are there foodmon? Trust me, there are plenty. There'll even be some references to some memes, of course. This region is just so much fun with an upbeat, colorful, and dreamy vibe that is just a real vacation from the more serious tones of my last couple projects, such as the Fearin region or Descent of Darkness. It was all actually inspired by a daydream I had on a tropical beach, and just all the beautiful colors and shapes I saw dancing across my eyelids while basking in the warmth of the sun. I truly felt as if anything was possible in that moment, and I want this region to feel like that and be just as warm and inspiring for everyone else. I won't go too much into things, as this is just a teaser trailer and video to show you what's to come in the future for the Zonhe region, as I won't start actually posting it here on my YouTube channel or Instagram till the end of the year, but I would like to at least introduce the primary cast for the Zonhe region, starting with the hero or player character being either Gabriel or Gabriella. But for the sake of the Zonhe Chronicles, I'll be following the adventures of Gabriel and his bubbly partner Pokemon Scubara. Gabriel is a bit of an oddball or outcast, always lost in thought or daydreaming, living life with his head in the clouds. Gabriel is often doodling his Fakemon, a hobby most people make fun of, as he lives in a world filled with miraculous Pokemon after all for him to capture. But he is much more intrigued in what could be than what actually is. He has a wild imagination and big dreams, but no one is willing to listen to any of his ideas, that is, until they start to come to life before his very eyes. Which of course has something to do with the mechanic of the region, and yes, if you couldn't tell, this region will be very meta, as literal Fakemon and everything they stand for will play a pivotal role in this region. It will also take a lot of inspiration from my personal life and childhood, as the character of Gabriel, if it wasn't obvious already, is heavily inspired by me. I mean, if you think about it, all of my Fakemon and characters for all of these projects are nothing more than my ideas that I dreamt into existence and manifested, as it almost parallels my journey as a Fakemon creator. So this will actually be my most personal region yet, as a lot of the story will be somewhat autobiographical in a sense. But overall, just a lot more fun and laid back than my previous projects, as it's not really about how high the stakes are, but more so just how personal things can be. The next character is one I introduced a while back in the first DLC video for the Firen Saga, but for those of you who missed it, meet the Zonhe region's professor and Pokemon prodigy at only 10 years old, Professor Palmera, known by you as your primary rival, Pedro. Having become so successful at such a young age, Pedro is laid back as he's used to things going his way and doesn't often stress over anything except maintaining his celebrity status, a status he hopes to skyrocket by also becoming the next champion of the Zonhe region. In the Zonhe Chronicles here on my YouTube channel, Professor Palmera will be assisted by an adorable Idleaf who is just as laid back as he is. Condescending and narcissistic, Pedro only agrees to gift you a starter Pokemon if you can use it to beat him in a battle, despite his starter Pokemon's type advantage. However, you end up proving far more as you birth a brand new phenomenon, creating your very own Pokemon, which is exactly what your Mascot legendary Pokemon is. As just like Lunala and Solgaleo and Miraidon and Koraidon were not exactly Pokemon and were considered UBs and Paradoxes as well, these new mascots are technically Fakemon. Now, while the people of the Zonhe region refer to them as Fakemon, as the first one recorded was created by the protagonist character, as one of their family heirlooms, a mysterious amulet randomly transforms their starter Pokemon into one of these magical Pokemon straight out of their sketchbook, much to the world's surprise, as they're in the middle of a live-streamed Pokemon battle, their very first against the rival, and nothing like this has ever been seen before. Not to mention many of the heroes' classmates, who would tease them for drawing Fakemon, recognize the Pokemon from their drawings, which they'd often refer to as Fakemon, which is how the name stuck. However, they are technically classified as a Magia, as there are ancient legends within the Zonhe region talking about these magical creatures being the manifestation of people's imagination and emotions. After being humiliated by you in battle, live-streamed across the region, he is determined to uncover the secrets behind this new mechanic you've birthed, and ends up birthing his own Fakemon to rival yours in his attempt to try to best you, obviously being the Mascot legendary of the opposite game. And last but not least, we have the beautiful and charismatic Carla, who is a friend and secondary rival on your journey. In the Zonhe Chronicles, she will be assisted by a fiery Embeek with a flair for the dramatics. She is a famous influencer with a huge social media following, as she live streams and reviews Pokemon battles throughout the Zonhe region, hitting the jackpot after live streaming your battle against Professor Palmera, capturing the birth of your Fakemon Doodles, broadcasting this monumental moment and Professor Palmera's humiliating defeat for the world to see. She's in a higher grade and is way too popular to normally be seen with anyone like you, but it turns out she's also your babysitter, aka Gabriel's babysitter, and actually a total sweetheart despite how most people probably perceive her, especially those online. And then of course we have the Mascot legendaries first of your Fakemon brought to life on this adventure, and the Pokemon that assist you on your journey, helping you to traverse the Zonhe region's various terrains and biomes. So you'd ride on its back as it either runs, flies, swims, or climbs up walls, trees, or mountains, as both jaguars and snakes are known to be good swimmers and climbers, and while the pool mascot doesn't have wings like the push mascot, it uses its fiery antlers to jet through the sky. Both mascot legendaries are inspired by a few things, as being Pokemon created by one's imagination, I felt rather than just being a Pokemon version of insert mythological god or creature, as I've done in the past, it would be a lot more fun to mix and match a couple of deities and creatures from Brazilian folklore or mythology together to create something unique while still honoring the culture. The Push Mascot legendary is primarily inspired by the Brazilian mythological creator god and god of thunder, hence the electric typing. But being he's a celestial being, I also took slight inspiration from Brazil's celestial jaguar, a cosmic blue jaguar that is typically not so nice and provokes fear in its mythology, but I decided to turn the tail on its head and have it help conquer fears instead, as it just fits so perfectly, as the Brazilian god Tupan is often associated with jaguars. And I also added a more biblical angelic approach to this design, with its golden armor and 6 wings, as a subtle reference to Catholicism in Brazil, as it's really big there, and to further support the whole creator god concept of Tupan. Not to mention the themes of this game being the things that push us closer to our dreams, such as our faith, or the support of others, acting as our guardian angels. Cosmic thunderstorms surge through its massive angelic wings, striking down to the earth, helping to birth new life. The Pool Mascot legendary is primarily inspired by the only Brazilian god said to equal Tupan, being the Brazilian god of the underworld, hence the ghost typing and skeletal armor and antlers, as this Brazilian god is usually depicted as a white deer with red markings and fiery red eyes, or having those kind of qualities. But I decided to expand upon this and mix its concept and design with a famous fiery snake from Brazilian culture, and while it's not flaming, it is a fire type and its bone antlers can engulf in infernal flames, doubling as a torch or candle almost. And like its counterpart, this Pokemon is a subtle reference to Catholicism, as it's meant to represent demons, like the ones that haunt us, preventing us from finding happiness and pulling us further away from our dreams. And it's also fitting as the Brazilian god it's based on is said to be the embodiment of evil, despite the fact that he helps protect the creatures of the forest. It's also fitting as biblically snakes are depicted as evil as well, although this Pokemon isn't inherently evil. In fact, it's just the embodiment of its creator's negative emotions, such as fears and doubts. It can generate smoldering flames from its antlers that are capable of vanquishing its victims' souls in its deafening inferno. And at the start of the game, there would be a dream sequence where you would encounter the legendary mascot Pokemon of your game and would even get to name it just as you do your player character. So the names I've given them are just their default names, similar to how the protagonist characters usually have default names as well. You will also get to determine its stats by distributing its base stats however you choose, and depending on how you build its stats will determine its move pool. So if you give it more physical attack, it will learn more physical attack moves, whereas you give it more special attack, it will learn more special moves. So you really do, in a sense, get to create your own Pokemon. But how are these Pokemon, or Fakemon rather, conceived? Well, naturally it has something to do with the region's miraculous mechanic known as Dreamagine, or in some cases Dreamerge. As like the Dynamax mechanic, the Dreamagine mechanic can be used on any Pokemon, whereas the Dreamerge mechanic only works with specific Pokemon, just like Gigantamax. Dreamagine allows you to manifest Pokemon from one's imagination or emotions by using one of your Pokemon as a vessel to materialize your creation. Any Pokemon of any level, meaning you can essentially transform your level 5 starter Pokemon into this mascot legendary Pokemon, but its level will be the same as the Pokemon used to make it. In fact, these new Fakemon cannot be obtained the normal way or caught, and rather can only be used by using the Dreamagine mechanic. But that being said, you can use them at any time using the mechanic, essentially giving you a 7th member on your team, and a legendary at that. However, the Dreamagine Pokemon will only have moves learned at the level it is while manifested. So if you use a level 5 starter Pokemon, your options will be slim, whereas if you use a level 50 Pokemon, you'd have a lot more moves available to choose from in addition to the 2 moves from the material Pokemon's moveset. So you get to customize its move pool in the heat of battle, ultimately changing the course of the battle. whereas Dream Merge allows you to fuse your mascot with some specific Pokemon instead, making a powerful new Pokemon not obtainable any other way, such as the dreamy Pegaseer or the nightmarish Mulablaze, with each version having its own unique set of version-exclusive Dream Merge fusions for its mascot, with more angelic fusions in Push and more nightmarish fusions in Pool, each revolving around your version's mascot legendary, having it act as the prime material, meaning you're not just fusing a Charizard and a Blastoise, in addition to more fusions for the DLC's mascots. And when using either the Dreamagine or Dream Merge mechanic, you actually get to select 2 moves from each material Pokemon's moveset, helping you to optimize both Pokemon's movesets in each battle, changing the course of the battle in the process. So for example, if you use the Dreamagine mechanic on your Idleaf, you'll pick 2 of Idleaf's moves and then 2 of your legendary's moves. And of course, the Pokemon lucky enough to trigger a Dream Merge fusion will be able to optimize this even more, as they'll have a type from each of their materials as well, increasing the chances of stab between their movesets. And despite only lasting the duration of the battle, they each are considered entirely new Pokemon with their own dex entries for collection purposes. So in other words, you gotta create them all. Speaking of which, I'll be holding a contest over on my Instagram account at Mykelmon_regions, allowing you to create both your own Fakemon, aka a Magiya, for the Zonhe region, and even some of your own Dream Merge fusions to go with it. Sharing it on either your Instagram account or story, tagging me, once again Mykelmon_regions, using the hashtag DreamMergeContest. Please remember to tag me and use this hashtag so I can not only see your art but go back and find it so no one's is overlooked. And no Pokemon or Fakemon is off limits for these Dream Merge fusions, so get creative and have fun. While all of your submissions will be featured here on my channel, one of the Magiya and Dream Merge fusions submitted may even be selected to be featured in the Zonhe Chronicles. Remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. I cannot wait to show you all the amazing Dream Merge fusions for this region. There are a lot for both canon Pokemon and my own Fakemon. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this trailer and follow-up video. I will start posting the Zonhe region on my Instagram account at Mykelmon_regions and here on my YouTube channel at the end of the year. So this, once again, is just a teaser. The Zonhe region won't be coming until late 2024. So please go follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel here to stay tuned for that. So I'd love to hear what you think so far, which legendary or version you're more drawn to. What do you think of the new Dreamagine or Dream Merge mechanic? Do you have any more questions about them? As well as the starter Pokemon you'll be choosing on your adventure. Please let me know down below in the comments. I really love reading your comments. It just makes my day. And I'm curious to see if any of these new revealed Zonhe Pokemon will make your team. And if you like what you've seen, make sure to go follow some of my previous videos to check out my other projects such as my Norse-inspired Fearon region, my own reimagined version of the Ori region, continuing its story, and my upcoming Legends LMH project coming this month, which is a Legends-inspired project for my very first Fakemon region, the iconic Luika region over on Instagram, that will finally be coming over to my YouTube channel this summer in its own series as well. And as most of you know, while I edit all my own videos, and these are all my ideas and designs, I do commission a series of insanely talented artists, well over 40 at this point, who I work with intimately and meticulously throughout the creative process to help bring all my ideas to life and see my visions manifest so I can share them with all of you and take you on these exciting journeys through my imagination. And many of these artists are even my good friends at this point, so please make sure to go check out all of their work and support them as well. I promise you won't regret it, and none of this would be possible without them. So go share the love. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with Pokemon Legends LMH.